Good morning, kids. I hope you're all well and that you've had your breakfast this morning and you've eaten enough food. You know, there are some people who don't have food to eat and they have to find different and difficult ways to get food to eat. Now, the Bible word that I want us to learn and think about this morning is a word which actually is a word that helps poor people to find food. The word we're going to think about today is the word glean. Do you know what it means to glean? You might be thinking of the word clean, but I'm not thinking about that word. We're thinking about another word, glean. Although gleaning is a kind of cleaning, and you'll see why just now. You see, in Old Testament Bible times, God commanded his people to think about ways that they can provide for the poor people. And one of the ways that they could provide for the poor people who had no lands and couldn't farm for themselves and couldn't find food, what they could do is they could glean in the fields of other people who did have fields. You see, at harvest time, when the rich people who had fields and they had crops growing on their fields, at harvest time, the rich people would send in the harvesters to take the harvest off the field and go and store it in their barns, and then they would have food to eat, just like you had food this morning. You had your breakfast. They also would have food in their barns and in their kitchens because they've taken the food, the harvest, the barley or harvest out of the field. But the poor people didn't have fields. So what God commanded the rich people to do for the poor people is when they harvested their barley, they shouldn't take it all. They should leave some in the field, just a little bit. Don't take all the food, the grain or the barley off the field. Rather leave just a little bit. Let some fall on the ground. Make a mess, in other words. So that the poor people can come later on and glean the field. Yeah, they'll be cleaning up. Sure, they'll be cleaning. But actually what they're doing is gleaning. So gleaning means to take the leftovers, to take what's been left behind. You see, this is actually a merciful provision that God had provided for his people, for the poor people. And God was trying to help his people to think about how they can be merciful to those who don't have food, to those who are struggling. You see, in the story we're going to read about today, the story of Ruth, we're going to see that Ruth went to glean in the fields of Boaz. You see, because Ruth and her mother-in-law Naomi, they didn't have lands and they didn't have food and they were hungry. You see, but they had this provision of the possibility to glean in the fields of Boaz. Because Boaz's harvesters were busy taking some of the harvest into the storeroom. But when Boaz saw that Ruth was gleaning in his field, he told the harvesters, you know what you should do for this hungry woman that I see here is leave a little bit extra. Take some of your barley out of the bunches which you have collected and let it fall on the ground so that Ruth can get more when she comes to glean in the fields. So boys and girls, what does this teach us? This word gleaning. This word gleaning, I hope this morning is teaching you to think about how you can leave some of what you have for poor people. Think about how to be merciful. Maybe you've got lots of extra things, extra clothes. Maybe you've got extra food. Maybe you've got extra money. Do you know somebody who doesn't have any clothes, any food, any money? maybe you can think about how you can allow those people to glean some of the extra stuff you have. That's a merciful thing to do. Shows that we love one another and we want to obey God.